On July 26, 2021, in Orangeburg, South Carolina, Officer David Lance Dukes, along with other officers, responded to a 911 call at Colon Village Townhomes to investigate reports of a man with a gun.
Hey, let me see your hands. Bert, get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground right here!
Allegedly, a female resident had called to report a man identified as Clarence Gaillard, 58 years old, banging on her door and window, attempting to gain entry. The report stated that the caller mentioned Gaillard had a gun in the waistband of his jean shorts. However, the caller, later identified in police reports as a relative of Gaillard, mentioned that she had never seen a gun.
Get on the ground! You! Burgundy shirt, get on the ground! Over here! On the ground!
When officers arrived, they found Gaillard in the parking lot. Officer Dukes approached the victim, who had his hands up in the air, signaling that he meant no harm and was not resisting the officer's duty. Gaillard then got down in a defenseless position on his hands and knees, with Dukes shouting at both Clarence and his cousin Demario Julian to get on the ground.
Ground! Get on the ground! Do you not listen? Get on the ground!
As Clarence complied and got to the ground, Officer Dukes raised his right leg and forcibly stomped with his boot on the victim's neck and head area. Gaillard's head struck the concrete of the parking lot. This action shocked all the other officers on the scene, as they wondered why Dukes was so aggressive toward a complying suspect. This excessive force was not clearly called for in this arrest, even if he was armed.
Behind me. There's a gun, I believe, behind me.
I ain't got no gun, nothing.
Put your hands behind your back. Is there a gun back there?
Ain't no gun.
By that truck.
Ain't no gun.
You're not listening, dude.
As Dukes cuffs Gaillard's hands behind his back, he mentions the supposed gun. "I ain't got no gun," Gaillard responds. Brandy Smith, the female officer, can also be seen searching the parking lot and nearby bushes, but she finds no gun.
He had something.
I ain't got no gun.
The door's unlocked, the car always shut.
No, he was right here. Watch him. Go watch him. There it is. All right, that's what he had.
Dukes searches Gaillard's pockets and around the car but comes up empty. He surely felt foolish at this point, realizing that things did not go as he thought they would. Once Gaillard is allowed to stand up, still handcuffed, he can be heard telling the officers that he was disabled in an accident.
25 city, got one tank.
Alright, put your leg that way so you can stand up.
All right, listen, I'm about to help you. Hold on. Hold on. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right.
Yep.
Listen.
Yep, they slammed my head
Listen.
down on the cement. Yep.
Go back inside. Go back in the house. Go back in the house. Ain't nobody talking to you.
I got head drummer.
Go back in the house.
Yep. Y'all bust my head down. Yeah, I've been in an accident. Yep. Y'all bust my head down. You threw me down.
I sure did. You wasn't listening.
Yep. No, it ain't. You had to throw me down like that.
When officers arrived, they found Gaillard in the parking lot holding a stick wrapped in shiny silver tape. Gaillard's lawyer, during the court trial, explained that his client walks with the stick as protection from aggressive stray dogs. Gaillard also uses a cane to walk. Apparently, these are the objects Officer Dukes assumed to be guns.
I'm disability.
Okay.
I got head problem. Yep. You threw me down. Yep. You threw me down. You threw me down.
Gaillard shouts in pain, describing how they stomped his head onto the concrete. He is visibly seen bleeding and appears to be in a lot of pain. At this point in time, he is clearly confused about what's happening.
You put my head down on the cement.
He was in front of the car when I came up. And he was walking like this. And I thought it was a gun at first. I said, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. Had him at gunpoint. And he's over here doing something like this.
You slammed my head. You slammed my
What
head
he was doing is
down
putting
on
this
the
up behind the
cement.
tire. So he comes over right here. He got his hands in his pockets. I'm telling him, let me see your hands, let me see your hands, let me see your
Why you
hands.
bust my head then?
He wasn't listening.
No, it ain't.
He got the, like this right here,
You grab me,
and we went on to the
and then
ground.
you bust my head.
Dukes explains to his colleague about the flow of events, but it's evident they don't really believe what he is saying. The cuffs are then removed from Gaillard. Dukes clearly knows now that he has messed up big time, no matter how much he keeps justifying his actions. Gaillard was released to paramedics at the scene.
Good, how are you? What's going on?
Officer slammed my forehead down in the cement.
Okay.
In the wrong foot.
You consciousness?
Yeah.
David Lance Dukes was charged with first-degree assault and battery. Gaillard in court asserted that Dukes jumped out of his car with his gun drawn, leaving him looking down the barrel of the gun. Gaillard's attorney stated that Gaillard had rods and surgical pins in his leg, knee, and hip from a previous crash when he was struck by a vehicle while riding his bicycle. Injuries from this accident caused Gaillard to move more slowly than his cousin during the scene. Brandy Smith, the female officer at the scene, sided with Gaillard, stating that Dukes took his right foot, placed it on Gaillard's back, and pushed him to the ground, further incriminating Dukes. Another female officer, Poor, expressed disbelief over what she saw, and her camera captured her saying that Dukes kicked Mr. Gaillard in the neck. Surprisingly, in Dukes' explanation and written report, he claimed that Gaillard failed to comply with his commands to get onto the ground, and that both he and Gaillard fell to the ground, which is what happened. Dukes was fired 2 days after the incident and charged with felony first-degree assault and battery a few days after that.
Was outside the scope of our use of force policy. That officer has subsequently been terminated. He was terminated on Wednesday of this week. And we wanted to make you aware of this. I want to take a moment to speak to our community and just let our community know that we really place above all the value. We value the trust that the community has placed in us as leaders and us as law enforcement officers. We cannot tolerate anything that will diminish that trust that our citizens have placed in us.
A difficult and unfortunate situation, with the public safety chief stating that Dukes' actions were outside the scope of the department's use of force policies. The state agency determined that Dukes' acts were likely to produce death or great bodily injury. In the end, after weeks of court sessions, a settlement of $650,000 was to be given to Clarence by the state in Orangeburg.
In Orangeburg now, a settlement in an assault case there. The city is going to pay Clarence Gaillard $650,000.
Every time I look in the mirror, I see the scar on my forehead, and it's not okay. The only thing I want the community to do is change, Gaillard said.
You know, I think it's very clear. I mean, this is the one of the clearest cases of excessive use of force, of police brutality that we've seen here in a while. And, you know, it just begs the question, at this point, Dukes is going to have his day in court. You know, I think he is guilty of what he's charged with. But the bigger question is why?
The police chief retired shortly after the incident, and the department's interim chief is reviewing use of force rules. They are also creating a group of citizens to oversee how officers treat people. The city said Gaillard's lawyer appreciated how quickly Orangeburg worked to both help Gaillard and change the culture of a police department that had seen 3 years of increasing use of force cases in a community where 75% of the 13,000 residents are black. In the pursuit of justice, instances arise that not only question the integrity of law enforcement, but also underscore the urgent need for systemic change. The case involving David Lance Dukes and Clarence Gaillard in Orangeburg, South Carolina, serves as a stark reminder of the responsibilities, challenges, and consequences associated with police actions. This narrative unfolds a tale of alleged misconduct, the repercussions of excessive force, and the subsequent steps taken towards reform. The moral fabric of society relies heavily on the principles of justice, fairness, and protection for all citizens. Law enforcement, as the upholders of these principles, carries the immense responsibility of safeguarding the rights and well-being of individuals. In the case of Clarence Gaillard, The alleged use of excessive force raises a profound moral dilemma. It prompts us to question the ethical boundaries within which officers should operate, and the repercussions when these boundaries are breached. Gaillard's encounter with law enforcement exposes the vulnerability of individuals in the face of authority and raises concerns about the potential abuse of power. The morality of the situation lies not only in the alleged excessive force, but also in the subsequent actions taken by the department, the city, and the community to rectify the situation and prevent future occurrences. The retirement of the police chief following the incident and the interim chief's commitment to reviewing use of force rules indicate a recognition of the need for change within the department. The creation of a citizen oversight group further reflects a commitment to transparency and accountability. These actions signal a pivotal moment where the community and law enforcement collaborate to reshape the culture of policing. The forceful strides towards reform demonstrate a collective acknowledgement that change is imperative. Gaillard's lawyer's appreciation for the city's swift response underscores the importance of accountability and transparency in addressing issues within law enforcement. It is a testament to the city's commitment to rectifying wrongs and fostering a culture of respect, fairness, and justice. Beyond the legal and procedural aspects, there is a human cost to incidents like the one involving Clarence Gaillard. Gaillard's personal account of the scars he bears, both physical and emotional, serves as a poignant reminder of the lasting impact of police actions on individuals' lives. Every time he looks in the mirror, he is confronted with a reminder of a traumatic encounter that should never have occurred. This human cost extends beyond Gaillard to the community at large. It raises questions about the trust citizens place in law enforcement and the potential consequences when that trust is eroded. Healing the wounds inflicted by such incidents requires more than policy changes. It demands a sincere acknowledgement of the human toll and a commitment to addressing the trauma experienced by individuals like Gaillard. The inclusion of a citizen oversight group in the reform process is a commendable step towards fostering community involvement. Engaging the community in decisions about policing ensures that diverse perspectives are considered and the concerns of residents are heard. It is a proactive measure that aims to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community, fostering a relationship built on trust and collaboration. Community involvement is not just a reaction to an incident. It is a proactive approach to prevent future injustices. It empowers citizens to actively participate in shaping the policies and practices that govern their safety. By involving the community in oversight mechanisms, there is an opportunity to create a more accountable and responsive law enforcement system that aligns with the needs and expectations of the people it serves. The case of David Lance Dukes and Clarence Gaillard is a microcosm of the larger challenges and responsibilities inherent in the realm of law enforcement. It serves as a mirror reflecting the moral dilemmas, human costs, and the pressing need for systemic change. The aftermath of this incident unveils a commitment to reform, but it also beckons a broader conversation about justice, accountability, and the relationship between law enforcement and the communities they serve. As we reflect on this case, it becomes evident that justice is not a static concept. It is a dynamic process that requires constant vigilance, introspection, and adaptation. The strides taken by Orangeburg towards reform indicate a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths and work towards a more just and equitable future. In the end, the moral of this story is not confined to the actions of individuals involved, but extends to the collective responsibility we share as a society to foster a system that values justice, empathy, and accountability. The scars on Clarence Gaillard's forehead serve as a collective scar on the conscience of a community, a reminder that justice is not just a legal process, but a shared commitment to creating a society where everyone is treated with dignity and fairness. This narrative should prompt us to engage in conversations about policing, justice, and community involvement. It challenges us to examine the systems in place, question their effectiveness, and actively participate in the ongoing pursuit of a more just and equitable society. In the end, the story of David Lance Dukes and Clarence Gaillard is not just about an isolated incident. It is about the collective journey towards a justice system that reflects the values and aspirations of the people it serves.